Howdy folks, I'm Exuberant Xenon, excitedly examining excellent exits.
I'm Amber.
And folks, I just want to point out that those are all EX words and not X words.
I'm a cheater, so sue me.
And folks, a quick announcement. We're going to be releasing some compilations, some with commentary and some without the comments and commentary. So there will be 2 different playlists for those. Look forward to seeing them. Watch them or not, they're just going to be the recaps from the week. So let's get started. My fiance pranks are costing me. 25-year-old male, 25-year-old female. Yesterday was the perfect example. I was with my fiance and I was driving my car. I told him that I had a headache and was super tired as we were driving home. He then starts pestering me when I'm driving like a child. Literally felt like I was babysitting someone's annoying kid. He grabbed my right hand, so I was driving with my left, and he didn't let go for me to use it while taking turns at all. Then, once I snatched my arm back and slapped him out of pulling us into danger, then he starts flicking my windshield wiper and dragging it across my dry windshield. I kept turning them off, and he kept just reaching over and turning them back on. I was absolutely livid. I just changed my wiper blades out because of bad smearing issues, just a couple of weeks ago. I spent like $35 each on these blades, and it totaled like $70 or something. I don't have the money to be dishing out more blades after I bought some that should just do fine for a long time. Regardless, I was livid that he kept pestering me. When I got back into the car, I turned my vehicle on. Next thing you know, my wiper blades start streaking and dragging back and forth on my windshield, full whack. He set my wiper settings to the fastest setting before he got out of my car. I am tired of this nonsense. I get back into my car tonight and sprays my windshield to get rid of the dirt, and the water is smearing in my vision. Again, after I just replaced my old ones and spent money on these. I sent him a video of my wiper streaking and beading the water on my vision, clearly, and he says, I didn't ruin them. They probably just needed to be cleaned. Right. Maybe I'm completely overreacting, but I'm raged right now because he didn't listen to me, and most of all, I feel like he had no respect for my belongings or my wishes when I tell him to stop. Advice. Alright folks, what do you think of this situation? What advice do we have for our OP?
I mean, I would say it may be time to reconsider this relationship. What he is doing is not a prank, it is dangerous. It is endangering both of your lives. Like, he's literally making it so you cannot properly steer the car.
Yeah.
And then he's messing with your property, costing you money. Like, this just does not sound like a healthy relationship.
So, my biggest problem here, well, I have a lot of problems, but one of my biggest problems is that he is acting more like a child than he is a partner. And you feel like you have to babysit him while he's in the car. And that's not a good place to be. Like, this, he should be able to be an adult and be responsible for his own actions, and he's showing that he can't be.
Well, and on top of that, like, he's the most spoiled, petulant child, type of behavior. Like, he is trampling all over OP's boundaries, you know. That wouldn't be acceptable behavior from a kid either.
No, it wouldn't be. So, OP, I think that you should really reconsider this relationship. I just don't even know, the way you're describing it, what's even in it for you. Again, like, you don't want to have a partner who's going to put your life in danger because they like to prank you. And what kind of prank is destroying property anyways? It isn't a prank. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, then our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Sharing My News at My Sister's Graduation? I'm an 18-year-old female, and my older sister, a 19-year-old female, graduated last school year. She was supposed to graduate the year before, but left high school because of some dramatics and returned via part-time program to obtain her diploma. Growing up, my sister and I were not close. When we were young, our mom and stepfather worked, and my sister often acted like my mom, making me food or telling me no. It was annoying. She would often complain that our mom, who is amazing, by the way, favored me, but she and my mom always got into fights because my sister got into trouble a lot. My sister just wasn't as well behaved as I was, and it caused her issues that she should own. Recently, my mom started planning my baby shower. It's not for a couple of months still, I'm due in January, but I reached out to my sister and asked her for some help with some photos, and I went to the shower with the baby pictures of me and to see if she can use her graphic skills to mesh me and my boyfriend's baby's pictures to create our baby. I figured that this would give her plenty of time to work on while not detracting from her college classes and job. She still chooses to move away despite my mom offering for her to live at home with lesser rent than us. My sister got angry, ranted about what happened at her graduation, and refused to help before disconnecting on me. So I decided to post here because my sister called me some choice names and she thinks that I'm out of line, but maybe I'm wrong. So I had found out that I was pregnant late in May. I had done an at-home kit and told my mom. My mom got me a doctor's appointment, which happened to be the same day as my sister's graduation. So that morning, we confirmed the pregnancy, and my mom had me tell everyone that night. My sister said that we could have picked any other day, and it was just another example of my mom's favoritism to make this day about me. I feel like it was just bad timing. And it wasn't like I told our mom that day, it was just my sister and some of our aunts and uncles. But my sister is apparently still angry and thinks that I'm the jerk. So am I. Alright folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think OP is not seeing what's really going on here. OP, it sounds like, is the golden child. Her sister was mistreated and it sounds like even parentified.
Yeah.
She's only a year or so older than OP, but she was expected to like make her food and stuff like that from a young age, it sounds like. And that was really not okay to announce your pregnancy at someone else's graduation. And I know the mom kind of goaded her on, but that only furthers that OP is the golden child.
Yeah, I see that there's some nonsense going on here. OP sounds kind of entitled. They are like, oh, can you do this huge favor for me even though I did this thing to you that I know you don't like? Aren't giving her space to process stuff. It just seems like OP is very self-centered and doesn't understand what the consequences of their actions are. And again, like Amber said, I do feel like this shows that probably the sister was parentified. And I think that group counseling, family counseling is probably something that is needed or was needed a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I think OP's sister probably needs individual counseling. I wouldn't trust her to be in counseling with the mom because it sounds like the mom is very...
I meant the sister and OP and her sister. I think that they had very different childhoods, and the thing is, like, it's just a very confusing letter in the respect that why was the sister always getting in trouble? Was this stuff that she was getting in trouble with her mom, or was she well-behaved, good student, and, or was this trouble at school? There's some questions here that I feel like are unanswered, and OP was kind of vague about it.
Yeah, well, and I think that even just with that limited information, my guess is that the mom probably had different standards for the two sisters, and I just... It doesn't sound like a good situation all around or a healthy situation.
Yeah. Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Melzilla79 says, you announced your pregnancy at your sister's graduation. It was her special day, her huge achievement that she worked really hard for, and neither you nor your mother cared about it. You stole the limelight, and it was a selfish and unkind thing to do. Then, have the audacity to ask your sister to do all this complicated stuff for your baby shower, for free, in her limited spare time. And you make disparaging comments about her all throughout your post. It's obvious that you don't respect her and you don't care about her feelings. You're the jerk and you're a bad sister. And Bananas for Scale says, the golden child is never self-aware or introspective. Hopefully, Big Sis will go no contact and leave these three in the dust.
Or maybe this will be, and I know this is maybe a little optimistic, but maybe this will be what OP needs to realize, that there's something really wrong in her household and that her sister was mistreated and that she's continuing to treat her sister as just like someone to do services for her.
All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Selling Our House Without Informing My Wife? My wife and I have been married for many years, but before we got married, I had built up a substantial wealth. When we got married, I opted for a prenup agreement and complete separation of assets. She also has a significant premarital asset and wealth. Besides the house we currently live in, I still own a beautiful apartment in the same city that I usually rent out. but it's currently vacant. Over the past 2 years, we've had many discussions about moving to a smaller town and getting a house near the beach. So 2 months ago, we bought the house for our upcoming move. We already made the renovations that we wanted, we bought the furniture, and we'll be moving into the new house soon. Since we won't be living in the city anymore, I didn't see a reason to keep the house that we currently live in and sold it without notifying my wife. Considering it's solely my asset, I didn't see the need to inform her in advance. Plus, selling and buying property is always a stressful process. On the day that I finalized the sale, I told her that I had sold the house, and she was furious with me for not letting her know. She mentioned that she still needs a residence in the city and intended to come back here frequently. I explained to her that I still have the apartment, which we can use whenever we need to be in the city, so there shouldn't be an issue. She remains upset with me, claiming that I did not treat her like a wife by not involving her in such an important decision. On the other hand, I believe that I didn't leave her without an address in the city, and the house was always exclusively my asset, just as her own wealth. She argues that it's a completely different situation because the house that they've been living in, and we're moving in a few days. Am I the jerk? Edit, I'm impressed that there are over 3,000 responses. Just to clarify a few things, we have about 45 days to move out of the house, and we already had moved to the new house scheduled for the upcoming days. I thought that she agreed to sell, as we both agreed that the house was too big and required a lot of maintenance, so selling it was always the next step. Alright folks, what do you think of this situation?
Yeah, I think OP was a bit of a jerk here because I understand that it's technically his property, but his wife has lived here as well. And I feel like with things that you jointly use, there should be a conversation around it before selling it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that OP should have given her a heads up that that was the plan. It seems like she just wasn't aware of it. And I think that this is probably a matter of sentiment. She probably really has a sentimental attachment to the house. She's lived there for a long time, and sometimes people have a hard time letting go of things that they've, enjoyed for a long time.
I certainly think that could be part of it. And I think also, though, it sounds like a big piece for her is just not having a say in the matter.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly, but I also understand where OP is coming from here, where he's like, well, I thought that we agreed to sell the house because why would we be moving out of the house in the first place? And generally, if you move out of one house, you're going to be selling your old house. So I do feel like there's maybe was needed more communication, that they just had different expectations.
Well, I feel like even if you've agreed to sell the house, your partner should still be involved in the process. Like, should be giving them updates along the way. It sounds like she didn't even know the house was on the market or anything. She didn't know who bought the house. So, it's just kind of like there should have been a lot more information given along the way.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I think that this is a situation where they can learn from this. I don't think this is like a marriage ending thing. I understand that she's upset because she wanted to feel like an equal participant in this. And I think that she has some reason to be upset. But I also think that OP's reasoning here isn't like the worst in the world. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe people will severely disagree with me on that. Amber's giving me eyes over here.
I mean, I'm not saying that he's like the worst in the world, like some of the Reddit stories we get, but I do think he's definitely being inconsiderate and not seeing his wife as an equal partner.
Well, I mean, I think that they just have very separated finances and he just didn't really consider it. And again, I'm not saying that he's in the right here. I just think that this is one of those situations where more communication was needed, and I think that that will go a long way towards solving their problems, their future problems. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Lanny Kia says, what in the world is your marriage? It sounds more like a business deal than a relationship. And OP replies, every marriage is a business deal. Every marriage is a contract that people sign. The only difference here is that we made it clear that our union wasn't a merging of our assets. It is an excellent solution to avoid problems from future divorce. And I mean, certainly I'm not saying that prenups aren't a good thing. I mean, I think that there are perfectly valid and legitimate reasons for prenups. I actually do have a question about the assets now that he sold this house, right? I would imagine that this would become shared marital assets because once you sell a property, that property is now going to be part of the household. So that prenup might not apply here. I mean, I'm sure they probably have money and lawyers, right?
Yeah.
But I do share some of people's concerns here that this does sound more like a business transaction, and he's not including her in this business deal because she's just not involved with his business association or whatever.
Yeah, which is all well and good if you're running a corporation, but it's not so good if you're running a household, where you both are mutually using the space and have
Mm-hmm.
your own sentimental attachments to the space and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
And falling into polka dots says you're the jerk. It's definitely weird and a jerk move to sell the house out from under her without even mentioning it or discussing it. I get that it was yours, but you lived in it together. She was living in it at the time, so it's just really, really strange that you didn't even inform her that this was happening. And OP replies, she was very involved with the other house. She was overseeing the renovations, buying furniture, and so on. To avoid causing her more stress, I handled the sale on my own. One of the reasons that we decided to move was because the current house was just too large for the two of us. I figured that it was obvious that we would sell the house soon. And so, I mean, it does sound like that they are working together as a team in certain aspects where she's looking at this other house and getting everything handled. I honestly can see from his perspective why it would seem like he thought she was involved in that, but like again,
Yeah, I disagree. Because, like, I mean, there are lots of things in our house that we mutually use that, like, maybe technically you bought so you could sell them. But, like, I feel like anything that I use that's important to me, like, you wouldn't sell without telling me.
well, and again, I'm not saying that he's in the right here. I said I can see why he would think that he had involved her. I didn't say that he did involve her. I just said I can see why he would think this. And I'm not saying that he's right, but I'm just saying that I can see things from his perspective here. Amber's not happy with that at
Well, I
all.
can't see his perspective. It sounds like again like a business deal and not like a marriage.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Bringing My Kids to the Community Pool During Adult Swim? Our HOA owns a community pool, and in fact, it's one of the reasons that we moved here. Combined, we have 7 kids, and I have 3 from my first marriage and a stepdaughter from the second that I'm still involved with, and my now husband has 3 kids. One of the issues is that they will essentially shut down the pool for adults only or lap swim twice a day. It's 9 a.m. and 1 a.m., both of which are the best times for us to use the pool. Yesterday, I had just to get out of the house, so just after 1 p.m., I went to the pool and it was empty, so I figured that it wouldn't be an issue. So the kids were playing, and then all of a sudden, 4 adults showed up, and they were training for a marathon, but said that they could make it work if they put up the lanes, and we stayed on one half of the pool. I said that was fine. My kids invented this game where they were sliding across the lines and ended up doing a head-on-head smash with one of the adults. Very frankly, the adult was not watching where they were going. She started screaming at the kids, and I had enough with not only these rude people, but the entire HOA in general, and I gave it back. The security guard had to come and kicked us out, and I let him have it too, but we left, and he said that he would call the police. Apparently, word got around to the gated community Facebook page, and I've been arguing in there for the past several hours. The general consensus was that I was in the wrong, and I have horrible kids. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think OP's being a jerk here. The entire point of having adult swim hours is so that people can do things like train without having to worry about kids running into them and
Yeah.
whatnot. And the people who want to use the pool offered a very, very generous compromise. Like, look, if you just keep the kids away from our lanes, and OP couldn't be bothered to keep an eye on her kids.
I think that there are right and wrong ways to handle situations. And if OP is unhappy with the adult swim times, then I think that a good time to bring that up would be during the HOA meetings, right? And say, hey, can we actually change one of these hours? Because they're both in my optimal times. And I usually when I go down there, there aren't a lot of people there. So I feel like it would be better used time if we move these by an hour before or later. So I think that OP is certainly in the wrong here, and I think that they should have controlled their kids when these people were very generous, like Amber said, and allowed them to continue to use the pool even though it was adult swim time. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
Did you hear the mystery of the 5,000-year-old mummy?
You know, I don't need to hear the mystery of the 5,000-year-old mummy because I've lived the mystery of the 5,000-year-old mummy. What are mummies other than really bandaged up vampires, right?
Never mind. You wouldn't unravel it.
That wasn't actually too bad. That wasn't too bad. And I have Earl Grey. But I am not a 5,000-year-old mummy or vampire. Just to let you know.
Or so he says.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of a prank.
Oh, what's that behind your ear?
A green screen?
Oh, well, no, like, you're supposed to reach behind your ear. Ah, yeah, there's nothing there. What a prank. You see, you're not driving, and, like, I'm not endangering your life, so this is just silly hijinks, and that's what a prank should be.
Yes. At least that's what we tell you, that we're not driving. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.